Well, thanks for everyone joining Jen and I today. We've been working together for almost 4 months now. Jen is decided to take charge of her life. She came to me originally with a diagnosis of some diabetes and just being overweight and just really not excited about where she was at life. And she chose herself to take some action, get some support guidance, and it's been quite a ride. So let's get in and talk to Jen about what she's been doing, and this is the first time I get to see Jen. Oftentimes, I just don't even get to see a lot of my clients. So I'm really excited to see you, not just hear and talk to you. So, Jen, introduce yourself. Tell us a bit more about you, who you are, and what's been going on.
All right, hi. I'm Jen. Single, work at an office environment, so all day, every day, I'm sitting down. Very stressful environment, so you have to remember to tell yourself to take care of yourself.
Right.
So that was definitely a battle when figuring this all out. I was like, man, I sit way too much. I don't get up and move enough. I'm feeling it in my joints. Like this is just not good.
Right, right. And what was it before we started meeting? What was the trend of life looking like for you?
Oh, it was not a good trend. It
No.
was comfort food. I'm feeling
Okay.
sad, let me eat. I'm feeling depressed, let me eat. I'm feeling uh, you know, I don't even just want to say down, food was my go-to comfort.
Right. And what did that do to your body?
Oh geez. Yeah. So much I've had knee surgeries, aching joints. I've probably didn't realize this, and I know we talked about it. I've actually lost teeth because of the acid
All
reflux that I was
right.
going through. So I ended up with really bad acid reflux on medication for that, ended up with Barrett's esophagus. Just, yeah, you
Right.
don't realize how bad horrible eating wrecks your body.
Oh my gosh. So you played the fire breathing dragon here
Literally.
with yeah, eating certain foods and just being really uncomfortable. So let's paint a picture of like where were you? So we got a diagnosis from the doctor. You're like, hold up here, I need to do an about face. Like what take us back to that time when we originally first spoke and paint the picture for our everyone that's watching here.
It was my annual physical. So every year I go and I get checked, and every year, and I've probably been hearing it for years. Best
Yeah,
thing you could do is lose weight. The best thing you could do is lose weight. And I'm like, oh
right.
yeah, I'll try. And then I'd hop on the internet and Google things. We joked about me being the Googlenator. If Google said this and Google says I should be doing this and trying that,
Yeah,
and it was, yeah, I'd maybe try something for a few days and be like, nope, this isn't for me, and then just revert right back to my old ways.
right.
Even just I even tried like Weight Watchers and stuff like that. But the doctor, I went to that exam and he said, look, you're literally, I could put you on diabetic medicine right now. And I said,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I
No,
said,
thank you.
I
No, thank you.
don't want to go through that. I have two parents that were diabetic and they got it in their adult life for being overweight. And I
Right.
watched what they went through and the struggles with their health issues and everything else. And I decided there's no way in the world I'm going to go through that or put myself through that because I kind of
Right.
go through that living with them. But,
Right. And I mean, your mom lives with you, and so therefore, like you see the impacts of her health choices and food choices and just lifestyle in general,
yes.
and where that's gotten her, even to the point where you drove into the get surgery at way too early, like before the hospital room was even open, and you guys were waiting there. You're like, wait a minute here, like we should have been here at like 10, not 6.
Yes.
What happened, mom? Like, where'd we drop the ball at? So we were heading in the wrong direction. The doctor had been calling it out, but what was the deciding factor? Like this time, you're actually going to take it more serious and actually do something about it.
I really did not want to go on the medication. When he said that to
Okay,
me in the office, I literally left there and sat there in the parking lot and said, I have got to fix this. This
right.
is the time I need to be serious. I need to stick with something. I need to make it work.
Yeah,
And that's when I was like, I just can't do this to myself.
right,
It
right,
just, I was feeling horrible. You don't realize it.
right, right. Well, and when we step back, you and you say some of the things that where you were at, and especially in comparison to where you're at now, and we'll talk about that. But it's like shock, like, hey, like why did you allow this to go on for so long? And we're just so busy, we're distracted, we've got everyday life. I think the number one word that everyone ever uses when I'm talking to them, especially the first time, is they're busy. BUSY, all caps with exclamation points about
Yes.
how busy they are. And so you decided to change. You're like, I'm not taking on any medicine more than even you're taking for the acid reflux, because one medicine generally leads to two or more. Next thing you know, you have like the Monday through Friday pill box that has like the deep counter thing to like fit all the drugs in there and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you are on a first name basis with your pharmacist, right? Not
Yes.
I'm sure they're nice people, but like I don't have a pharmacist in my life. I don't plan on it anytime soon. So what were the results? Like we got on a phone call. We had a wonderful first call. You're like, hey, Brian's fun. And I'm like, hey, Jen's fun. Like we have wonderful Sunday conversations. We get a lot of
Yeah.
laugh. So I just always look forward to talking with her, anyone listening. So we use a lot of humor, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of fun in this process to make the results stick and have a really positive mindset shift, a reframing of her lifestyle. And so, what's been the results over the last couple of weeks? Well, actually, months. So we're like 4-ish months, maybe 5 months in, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah.
what's happened since we've
Oh,
gotten going?
oh my God. It's a totally new me.
Literally, right?
Yes. I mean, in my younger years, I'll have to say that. I used to be like, I would look in the mirror and be like, oh, there's that happy girl, everything. And I lost her. And I lost her for
Right,
a very
right,
long time. I'm talking probably good 20 years I lost her.
right.
And through this adventure, I do remember looking in my mirror at one point in time and going, oh my God, there she is again. There's
Yeah,
that woman I recognize. There's that woman that, wanted to go out and have fun and do things and live
right,
life
right,
instead of the old me that was like, I'm too exhausted. I'm too tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And part of that is
right.
because you're overweight. You're not eating healthy. You don't have the energy. Now I have energy. I want to go out and do things. I'm like begging my friends to do stuff because I was always the one that canceled.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you've gone to a number of concerts, you've done a large
Yes.
number of things since we've been going. So it's not like you're living in a rock in a cave, so to speak, and eating out of Tupperware containers or something. So you've
Yes.
actually been like participating in life, and even recently you started up with bowling again. So,
Yes.
what's that experience been like? When was the last time you saw these people, and what has been the reintroduction of
The last time
them?
I saw them was in April of last year. Or no, it was this year. I'm sorry, it was April of this year.
Yeah, of
And
April, right?
we started talking in June.
Right.
So it was, I hadn't seen them since April. And we started blowing up again. It was October 17th. And
Yeah.
I ran into some of the people because they bring their spouses. It's a work league. So some of the spouses that I had gotten, friendly with and everything. And they were like, how are you? And everything. And I'm talking to this one lady as I walk in and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? And she's looking at me and she said, I said, you don't recognize me, do you? And she said, oh my God, I know the voice. She said, Jennifer? And I said, yeah, it's me. She said, you look amazing. Because not only the last time she saw me, I had dyed my hair. I was blonde. I guess not,
Okay.
blondes don't always have more fun. I'm having more fun as a redhead than you don't even know. And
That's
then
so
the next day
awesome.
I go to work the next day and her husband says, yeah, she said to me, how come you didn't tell me that Jen lost all that weight and she dyed her hair? And I was like, well, I would like to say that he didn't want to go home and be like, man, Jen's looking really good right now. I mean, he is married.
Right. Right.
I don't
It's
want
a safe
somebody's
play for
wife
him.
chasing me down.
Oh, no, we don't want that. But you have gotten a little bit more attention than you may
Oh,
have
yes.
anticipated in the last like 2 weeks going, which is just funny. And and so what's the weight loss down? Like what is clothing looking like? What are
Oh,
those two results looking like?
the clothing is amazing. I've been one of those people that I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to say I don't want to set myself up, but I'm like, you know what? Until I get to where I want to be, which believe me, we are very close. I didn't want
We
to go
are.
out. I did not want to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe.
Right.
So I've been kind of, still, and I wear my normal clothes, and I go into work, and people are like, "Wow, we could just tell how much weight you lost because your pants are falling off." Some of my shirts look like I got a bell on, they're just hanging on me funny. In fact, I actually pulled one out so that we can kind of do a somewhat of a comparison.
Oh
I don't know if you can
yeah.
see it, but
Oh
this thing,
yes.
it was a 2XL, and I'm like, it can wrap around me now.
Wow. Wow. That is incredible.
And
You
that
feel
was,
like Wonder Woman now.
yes, I do. I always said I
Hmm.
wanted to look like her. She was my woman crush, but I'll never look like
Yes.
Linda. No one's ever gonna look like that one.
No, no, not at all. No, that's awesome. So how much, so clothing has changed dramatically, right? You are
Yeah.
finally getting in the home stretch of actually getting new clothes, which is awesome.
Yes.
What about the weight and some of the other diagnosis of like the acid reflux? I know that's changed quite a bit too.
Oh my God, yes. I don't have heartburn half as much as I used to. I never could understand it. In my mind, you use water to put out a fire,
Right,
and I would drink water and it would give me heartburn. And I'm like, this is not normal. And then the doctors would tell me, yeah, it is because, your acid problems. I'm like, but this is just not normal. Like certain things to me, it's like water should be good for you. It shouldn't be
right,
painful to drink.
right.
But again, there was obviously other things that contributed to that.
Hmm.
So I've haven't been taking my heartburn medicine, and knock on wood,
Excellent.
I always knock on wood, I have not had any I have not had any heartburn. I was actually able to eat like at a Mexican restaurant and enjoy a spicy taco. And it was
Oh,
like, okay,
okay.
yeah, it was spicy in my mouth, but it didn't burn for 2 days after.
Right. You're like,
I'm like,
oh,
yes, yes. I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, was there something spicy in there? Because, I read the menu beforehand and she said,
right,
yeah, it was poblano peppers. And I was like, okay, that explains why my tongue is burning right now.
right, right.
But
It's
again,
a little hot.
in the past, I would eat that and I probably would have called into work sick the next day
Ah,
because the acid reflux
right,
would be so bad. It would
right.
almost make you
And
nauseous. You don't want to move. You don't want to get out of bed. It's just like, oh,
right,
this is horrible. And
right,
then in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, well, now I don't want to eat because if I eat, it's going to hurt.
right, right.
So then you're doing other damage.
So that's obviously a life changing experience. If you're calling off work because of how severe acid reflux was.
Yes.
Secondly, again, you're not going to get your prescription filled anymore. So we're saving
Yeah.
time, energy, money, and just like pain. So
Yes.
how much are we down in terms of body weight? Because I know we're like in the home stretch of where our goal is from where we started. So what's been your journey
Yes.
on the body weight change so far?
So in when I saw my doctor, so I'll go a little bit before because we talked probably about 2 or 3 weeks after I saw him. I was 205.
Hmm.
And as of this morning, I maintained from last week so far, I'm 165. So
And
that's
that's
40
incredible.
pounds.
That is 40 pounds, right?
That is 40
That is
pounds.
amazing. That is amazing. So,
Yes.
what is different about what we've done together compared to like the Weight Watchers or like whatever else you did in the past? Why is it working so well?
When I reached out looking for somebody like you, I kept saying, I need somebody that can explain things to me. I need somebody that I can kind of reach out to and say, hey, should I eat this or shouldn't I eat this? And it was like when you talked about balancing your plate. I've heard that for years. You got to balance your plate
Right.
with protein and carbs and this and that. And I'm like, but what do they mean? Like, what protein should I be eating? What fibrous carbs should I be eating? Which I didn't know there was such a thing until we
Fiber,
talked.
yeah. Yeah, we just so everyone's clear, so I'll take carbs and break them up. So we have a protein portion of the plate, fibrous carbs like fruit and vegetables, and then a starchy carb to look for a balanced approach around eating an appropriate amount of food at each time that you eat. Most of the time, like 80, 90% of the time, this is going to give us a balanced meal. It's going to give us plenty of energy. It's going to get us full enough till the next time that we eat again. So you're able to manage your calories. If in your case you're not over consuming any large amounts of food to cause acid reflux issues or the wrong type of food or any like a singular food that might trigger a reflux issue, because by having balance in those meals then it's a lot easier to keep the fire breathing dragon back in the cave where it should stay forever, right? So so what are some of your favorite meals? I know you absolutely love cucumbers. Like tell us about what balance now means to you when you're at home, when you're at work, or even when you go out to, bowl or go to a concert.
Yes. Yes, I think I'm going to turn into a cucumber. When I saw that on the list, because I'll go back to the when we started learning, I literally took that list and said, okay, well, these are the types of food that I know I like to eat.
Yes,
And I
yes,
wrote them down on a piece of paper, and I carried that piece of paper with me to the shopping store. And that's
yes.
the only thing I would buy was what was on that paper. And then I would say, okay, out of these things I bought, I can make this. And then I would plan my meals around
Right,
that. And when I
right.
saw cucumbers were on there, oh, it was game on.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
introducing me to the all everything bagel seasoning, that was the game changer.
Game changer.
Big time.
So
I
much so that
carry
what
a
do you do?
bottle
Yeah.
in my purse. I carry it in my purse. My friends laugh at me. We'll go out
Okay.
to eat, and I pull that sucker out and I put it on my chicken. I put it on my broccoli, and they're like,
Oh,
"What
it's
are
so
you
funny.
doing?" And I
Uh,
tell everybody about it. It's like I go to the dentist and I'm like, "Sorry, I probably have seeds in my mouth, but it's from my bagel
it's the
seasoning."
poppy seed. That's all. That's
Yes.
all. That's a wonderful. That's one of my favorite seasonings by far. Everything but the bagel is clutch. Now,
Yes.
just to clarify the list that she's talking about. So, like when we get started, I have this PDF. I've got a lot of simple, easy to understand PDFs, and it's called "What Food Should I Eat?" Very simple, right? And so I go through and itemize like what are lean protein sources. So we define it so that they understand more. Client understands what is a lean protein source. What are fibrous carbs? For fibrous carbs, just to tell you, like I generalize those as 50 calories or less in a cup serving size. Certainly can have plus or minus a little bit, but that's just an easy way to think about it. Fruit kind of falls in between that, like 70 to 110 calories. And then starchy carbs, we can quantify as about 125 calories or more. And when we have a process, so the what food should I eat? So we pick a protein, we pick a fibrous carb, we pick a starchy carb. Now we have a process. Now we have a system. Now we have better guidance on how much to eat in each category, and we have a more of a routine of how to plan meals so that the whole meal design process becomes literally so much easier. And as soon as we go through that and we explain what it is or why it is or how it is, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so easy, right? Would you agree?
Yes.
Like I
Yes.
can build a meal and it's not limited to the foods that are on that list per se, because we don't need a good carb, bad carb thing. We don't need I can eat this food, but I can't eat that food. That's not it. What one thing I taught Jen and everyone is like real nutrition. So there's calories, there's different types of food that have different types of macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. And to help Jen and everyone else understand how do we put these things together in a way that it's enjoyable, that's exciting, so that Jen, who loves cucumbers, but John, who doesn't, they still plentiful amount of options to create good balanced meals that work for not just weight loss, but energy and getting rid of diabetes and the fire breathing dragon and stuff. So that's what she's referring to as the list. So it's called the What Food Should I Eat PDF. If you're interested in it and you see this, you can comment below and I can send it over to you. It's incredibly simple. I have people print it out on the uh, and put it on their refrigerator to make it just really easy to go through this process of putting an appropriate amount of the right types of food that people enjoy. Because I haven't asked you to eat anything you didn't enjoy, right?
No, I did not. If I found out I didn't enjoy it, I'd move on to something on the list that I did
Exactly,
enjoy.
exactly. And I haven't asked you to do any like exercise things that you haven't enjoyed, right?
Nope. Nope.
And no lifestyle weird things like no life hacks or something like you have to, flip upside down and brush your teeth sideways or something to do this one magical fat loss burning trick, right? We don't do
Nope.
any of that stuff, right?
Nope.
We've created a lifestyle for Jen. What is so we got some of the nutrition stuff. I know that you really enjoy, being more active than ever, right? It's coming from a seated position all the time. Like most humans, they sleep all day, then they sit all day, and then they go back to sleep. They just don't move. But now, like you're moving more than ever, and you have energy because movement is energy. So, what are you doing with your body to tighten and tone and reshape it?
It's funny you talk about the pain because that's one of the things I tell everybody about this whole journey too is before we met and started our thing, I would wake up every morning and it was like, oh, my back would hurt, my knees would hurt, my hips would hurt. It would like I'd hit the floor and it'd be like, oh God, my age is
My,
showing.
right.
I'd get to work and I have stairs I have to walk up to. My foot would hit that first step and the pain would just shoot up into my hip. And I'd be like, oh my God, this is horrible. I have none of that now. I have none of that. I wake up and I'm ready to go. I hit that first step and I bounce up those stairs now, like, dude, I'm ready for the
Bound.
day. Yeah, I don't use the handrails, nothing. Before it was like I was grabbing the rail and pulling myself up.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yes.
Or where's the elevator? Why is there no elevator here? Like,
Right,
what's
right.
going
It's only
on?
one floor I got to go up, but I still need an elevator.
That's amazing.
So
So
one of the
well, yeah, what are
on
you doing
walking,
exercise wise? Walking,
uh,
yep,
at,
right,
at work, I get an hour lunch. So I would make sure I eat my meal first. Sometimes I
right,
hate to say it, I'd be rushing through that meal so that I could go out and get that walk in. And I would
right,
take the second half of my lunch, about a half hour, sometimes 45 minutes. Even if I didn't have the whole half hour, I would do the 15 or the 20 minutes just
right,
to get up, get out that door and get moving.
right, right,
And during we obviously were doing during this during the summer, so you're out there in the
right.
beautiful weather.
Oh yeah.
And I
Hmm.
found there was a park up the street from me that had a walking path. I went there and walked a couple times. It wasn't as long as I had hoped, but I
I gotta
was
do
like,
another loop.
yeah, I was like, I could keep going. Where did it
Right,
end?
right.
I actually had a friend that who was noticing my weight loss and how he goes, I give you credit. You're sticking to it. You're being serious. You're really nailing this.
Right.
And he said, you are worth the $50 investment to buy you the sneakers to get on my Peloton if I can
Yeah.
have you around for a couple years longer. So he bought me those Peloton shoes and let me use his Peloton membership. So I go over there, a couple times a week sometimes and like get in a nice 20-minute beginner ride, except for the day I didn't pay
Right.
attention and just put it on cycling. And I was like, what do you mean
Go
we're
to
standing
level
up?
50.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And stand up, I was like, oh my God, I was sweating in 2 seconds. I could wring my shirt out because I was like, well, I can't back out of the class. I started it. So in my mind, you got to finish it. You started it, you got to
Right.
finish it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was soaked for 2 hours, I think. It is a great workout. I even had a
Right.
friend of mine who, again, I've known people for a long time, and he said, at first he tried saying, "Oh, I didn't notice your weight loss. I didn't notice. I haven't seen you." And I'm like, "That's when you should notice it the most. You haven't seen me."
Right.
And then I get a text message a couple weeks ago. I can really see your weight loss now. You can see it in your face. You can see it everywhere. I have a bike if you want it. We're going to give you a bike so you can go bike riding because you can't be the only healthy one. We're going to go together.
Yes, that's awesome. And so your leadership of just taking care of yourself has really shifted some of the relationships that of the people you're around. So you don't have to leave them behind, so to speak, and pedal away from them. They're coming with you. You're inspiring them through the way that you are doing it, through just showing up and doing the work and being positive. And you've always been our, like I said earlier, our conversations are just fun. We laugh and we have a great time while still making a lot of progress and making sure
Yes.
that this is a really fun experience because Jen and I, we've been working together for a while. We'll probably work together for a little bit while, but at some point she's like, Brian, I'm good to go. And that's the whole point of this whole thing. And so that years from now, she can send me an email and be like, yeah, I literally had someone a year and a half later just text me out of the blue, Brian, what we did was life changing. And it not only does it help me, it's helped my daughter, it's helped my son, my husband, and I'm able to like just continue to live a lifestyle that I'm really excited about, which is ultimately the goal point of this whole process is a lifestyle. And Jed, do you feel like we're accomplishing that? Like what we've been doing is something you can continue to do?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like it becomes a routine, and it's not like a horrible routine, though. It's not like a chore or something. It's just
Right.
second nature. Like I catch myself all the time. I can't remember. My household is not very healthy, so they kind of, eat what they want. And every now and then I'm like, well, how bad is that? And I'll pull out the package and I'll look at the calories and I'll look at
Right.
the content, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think I should have that. Or I'm like, okay, so three chicken nuggets is 140 calories. What if I only have one?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like I'll try to find the way to say, okay, you can still have this, but don't
Right.
go. You don't need to have the whole
Right.
serving. You don't
Right.
need to have, and I'm finding that out with so many things. And it's like introducing myself again to foods that you enjoy. We talked about the cucumbers, cottage cheese, another
Yeah.
one of my go-tos. You know
Oh,
this.
go to. Yep. Hmm.
I
She's
laugh.
she's sure that TikTok lady is making a run. Everyone's getting a run
Sabotage.
on all of her cottage cheese at the grocery store. You're like, the TikTok is ruining all my stash.
Yeah, I can't get it at Walmart. I can't get it at Tops. I mean, there's some places I found there. I've told Brian there's a grocery store from where I work. I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if they have cottage cheese. They do. It's an untapped resource. They always have it. And I
That's
mean, I liked
hilarious.
cottage cheese even as a kid. We grew up on it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't something, and I thought I brought it to work and everybody knew I was doing my lifestyle change stuff. And they're like, you're eating off a lot of cottage cheese. And I said, it's high in protein. And they
Yeah.
said, what? And I said, look at the container right on the front, 12 grams of protein per serving. They were
Yep.
like, I had no idea. So we
Right.
talked about this too. I come into work now, there's probably about 4 different containers of cottage cheese in the refrigerator for 4 other people who work with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what Jen is calling out is like she's just being more calorie aware, right? We haven't actually counted calories, have we?
No.
We have an approach, we have a system, we have a way to think about food differently. Jen
Mhm.
looks at nutrition labels. She understands what she's looking at now. It's not a foreign language or something, and she can make an educated decision around
Yes.
what's important to her, around what to eat in what context. So if she's going out to a Limp Bizkit concert and she's
Yes.
hanging out with some friends and it's going to be a fun, enjoyable evening, she can still make an enjoyable choice that's going to benefit her even the next day and not just wake up with, the typical post game show feeling and sensation of overeating or whatever. Because you've been in, I think the one time you got in like a traffic jam and like everything was way off. Like you're like showing up late and like like just the food situation, like we're running through McDonald's or whatever. And so you were still able and empowered to make a better choice, not just be like, well, I can't eat or, well, I'm just gonna like throw in the towel and give up for 4 days either.
No, absolutely. Like even like you were talking about the McDonald's and everything. Another one of the same friend of mine. You're going to be serious about this dieting stuff? Yes, I am. We were running late. We went through Burger King drive-through. I said, you can actually get a Whopper with no bun. They wrap it in lettuce for you. And I
Yeah,
pulled all the yucky stuff out. And he looked at me and he goes, you're really gonna, yes, I'm gonna eat that. I don't want the fries. I don't want the chicken
right,
nuggets.
right,
I don't need that stuff
right, right.
because you will be amazed. And I think we talked about this one time too. After throughout this journey, I had introduced something back into my body that was really processed and it messed up my stomach. And you
Yeah.
said, well, yeah, because you've been eating whole foods and now you went and put this processed stuff in your body. And my body said,
Right,
what is going on?
right, right.
Like, where's the cucumber?
Right. Same thing. Like right now, just got done with Halloween, right? And
Yes.
it's, my kids and we do participate in that. But I had a couple Halloween treats, and but if I have too many, my stomach flips upside down. Like, Brian, well, what are we doing here? Because this is not what we're used to, and it's just only so much of a good thing, and then it definitely sours the stomach in a sense. And so, like, we've given a lot more boundaries, a lot more ability for you to just be in control. Your activity, your movement's enjoyable. You're gaining even more of a better, relationship with that activity and the desire to do more and more. Right, each week we're like, hey, what do we do more? And at some time, who knows? You might join the gym or like whatever. But the point being is that exercise is fun. What you eat is fun. What you are, how you live your life these days is enjoyable experience for you and everyone else. So, speaking of, like whoever's watching this, like, what would you tell them if they were watching and just like, hey, her story really resonates with me? How would you talk to, say, Jen when she was in that first starting point?
I would 100% say you need to call Brian. You need to find him and call him. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
thank
but
you, thank you.
I want to say the first time I started noticing results, I told him I didn't want his wife to hate me, but I could reach through the phone and give him a kiss because it was like just amazing to say, this really works. Like you don't have to, yeah, say, oh my God, I can't eat that. You don't have to live in the mindset of, oh my God, I have to starve myself to get to this weight, or oh, I have to do this or I have to do that. There's, as we've talked too many times too, there's so many different fads out there. This to
Right.
me, as my dad would say, is the KISS method. Keep it short and simple. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be complicated. And
Yep.
the amount of support you give and the amount of
Thank you.
feedback,
Thank
that
you.
is a huge help, because when there was times I was like, I don't know if I should be eating this, I'd send you a text message. What do you think about this? And you would respond right back saying, well, that's not that great. Watch the carbs in it, or watch this, or you'd say, that's amazing. Put
Right.
some seasoning on it.
Get pull out the bagel seasoning.
There were things that you showed me and told me to try that I would never even think of. And you would hear me say, I never thought about that.
Right.
One of my biggest things, we'll go there real quick, is coffee. I
Yes.
loved like triple coffees from Tim Hortons. I loved my
Yeah.
sugar in my coffee, and it was a bad thing.
Right.
So you suggested, and I used my protein shake as a creamer.
Right. Right.
So you're getting the flavor of the protein shake. You get a nice peanut butter one or a nice caramel one. You're still getting your coffee.
Right.
And it's
Chocolate for mocha, vanilla for
yeah,
latte,
yes. I've tried. They
whatever.
had a
Mix it up.
cinnamon one. It was so good. And
Yep.
and I tell people that now. I'm like, there's so many simple things that
Yes.
count and can make changes. And we joke about this too. People always say, when they see me, they all want the answer of, what did you do? And they want you to say, oh, it's a magic pill. I woke
Right.
up like this the next day. That's what they want to hear, but that's not what
Yes.
they're going to hear. And I
Right.
tell them two things. And we were talking about this WW, kind of like Weight Watchers, but it's our little secret: walking in water. And the
Yeah.
minute I say water, everybody goes, oh, because I tell them you got to get 80 to 100 ounces of water in a day.
Right. Right.
And they go, oh, I can't do that. There's just no way. And then they just get turned off by it. To me, that's the
Right.
easiest thing.
Easiest thing. Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything. I have my Stanley with me
Free.
every day.
Yeah.
And my niece
Yep.
says, if you don't have your Stanley, I know something is wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have it right with me. I almost brought it in, but I didn't want to like drink during our thing. But I have a 40-ounce container that I carry around. Water to the body is like oil to a car, and our bodies are an open system. So what goes in comes out, whereas a car just kind of circulates around. And so you constantly you are made of water. Your body does better with water. You want filet mignon of muscle tissue, not beef jerky. You want to have fluid in between your vertebral discs and buoyancy in your body and in your brain. Like if you're dehydrated, your brain is like sitting
Yes.
on the brain skull, and no wonder you have a migraine, splitting headache, because you are lacking fluid and hydration. And usually for women, I say 80 is a minimum, whether it's with coffee or tea too, that's fine. Or we just can't count like, soda or something, or like high calorie, frappuccinos. Like, well, that's kind of more of a meal than a than
Right.
a
Right.
hydration strategy. And for guys, it's usually about 100 or more. But those are things that we settled in on and found a routine and a habit of what to do. So this is
And
awesome. We're how far away from like the ideal? I talk about a 5 pound weight range to my clients as well. 5 pounds being that there's a plus or minus. Your body's always going to fluctuate. You're not going to be just exact, right? That's preposterous to think. But there's this range of like, hey, I'm looking, feeling amazing. I'm going to the beach next week, and I've been working a little bit more to do that. Or hey, the Halloween trick or treating got a little too excited there, and the trick or treating, and so now I need to spend like 2 or 3 days, not 3 months losing weight, but like just like I'm just gonna knock off the nonsense, and like 2 days later, you're like right back down in the middle there of that range and stuff. So well, you're also yeah, answer that question. It's like how far away are we from that goal? Like at least the end of phase one, right? Our phase one is like lose the weight and get in a healthier body, and our phase two is like what can Jen look and feel like that she's just beyond excited about?
15 pounds.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so you're already
I
40
don't know.
down. We got 15 more. And
Yep.
I mean, we're just like steady moving here. So
I want to be able to say I'm a buck 50.
buck pity. Yeah.
I want to
That's
be able to
awesome.
say it.
Yep, that's awesome. And we're
Absolutely.
marching away. We're just a couple of weeks away. And here's the cool thing. We're going to do that throughout the holiday season. So by the end of
Yes.
the year, we'll definitely be there. And you'll be like, wow, like what, everyone, what did you do? Well, I paid attention to food, I made better choices, and I moved more. And it can be as simple as that. So Jen, I really want to thank you so much for showing up that day and saying yes to yourself, most importantly, and allowing me to have the pleasure to get to know you these last couple of months. And like I said, every time we talk, it's a fun, enjoyable. We laugh, we joke, we have a really good time establishing what a better lifestyle looks like because that's her personality, as you can tell through this conversation. She likes to have fun, she likes to laugh, and that's something that's really important. So if you're watching this and you're inspired by Jen and you want to learn more, my website, brianprana.com, is a great place. You can catch me on all my socials at Coach Brian Prana as well. And just say yes to yourself. Most importantly, like there is a way better life on the backside of taking some action. And as soon as we get to a buck 50, then for Jen, like life gets so much easier because she doesn't have to spend so much time or attention to this. It's just what she does, it who she is, it's how she goes about living life. So I really appreciate you and taking
I
the time
appreciate you
here.
more.
So thank you. Thank you
I
so
tell
much.
everybody, just reach out to them. You make everything feel so comfortable, so welcoming. And another thing I would say is you can feel comfortable talking to you about anything. A couple
Yeah.
times, as a female, you're like, I'm having that time of the month, and it's
Right. I mean,
hormones and everything else.
it's a real conversation I've had for 20 years
Yes,
with women.
yes.
It's
And
it's gonna
it
happen.
once you said that, I was like, oh, this is gonna make it more comfortable and more easy.
Right, right. I
I'm
mean,
not gonna
if
shock this guy.
no, I've had it's not the first conversation I've had. Like there's stress management, there's time management, there's so much that goes into
Yes.
just taking care of yourself. And people think like, oh, what should I eat? And like that's like this much of it. Yes, there's this, but then how do we line up the timing and the way to reprogram the brain? So thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching this as
Thank
well
you.
and be inspired. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.